Chapter 13. Page 225 starts off Chapter 13. Second last chapter, everyone, and it's gonna go fast because we've only got 20 pages left in the book. In the movie there's still lots of movie time left, but it seems Gipe is racing towards the finish line here. Perhaps at this point he realized he wasn't being paid by the word? Perhaps he said off rig, really? And then busted out sentences like then the teen went back to future, like in the title, and his parents were all weird. The end? Perhaps there is but one way to find out. So, we get this porny phrase.
Town square was deserted except for a small pack of dogs and Doc was ready to go.
Like in the movie, Doc checks the time first on his old-timey pocket watch and then on the watch he's wearing on each wrist one by one, which is nice. Then Marty finally shows up, driving towards him at
precipitous speed.
And I always thought precipitous meant steep like a cliff, but it can also mean sudden or dramatic, so hooray. We all learnt a vocabulary word. Maybe you already knew that. But I didn't, and now I'd like to assume I'm the bro with the best vocabulary in this town after reading this book. Doc is pissed. So pissed that he's talking to himself.
Good, he grunted finally, satisfied that the vehicle was his Packard. But why drive like that, dummy? Why crack up in the wrong car? A moment later, Marty was available for the answer.
And yep, I've got no idea what crack up is doing there either. Gipe's certainly not using it to mean laugh or go crazy. Maybe he's using it to mean go quickly? Because maybe that's what the expression meant in the time of Charlemagne? Because old man-itis? Doc scolds him for being late, that's what it says, scolded. Can't you see what great friends these two characters are? And Marty's availability for the answer lets us learn that he was driving fast to see how fast he could go. And it's a good thing too, because there's a bump on the road that he now knows about. He'll just drive on the left-hand side for that part. Is this information relevant? Nope. But there it is anyway. Enjoy. Doc says that's all well and good, but
what if you'd been spotted by some cop? Marty replies, what if I'm spotted by a cop when I'm in the time machine? Doc responds, if that happens, you keep going, dummy.
Can't you feel the love between these two people? It's just so wonderful to read about two great friends having an adventure together. Page 226. Marty says he's late because of the dance and because he had to change, sadly not saying,
"You think I'm going back in that suit?
Like he does in the movie, a line I loved. In the movie, Marty explains how everything's great now, and shows Doc the picture. Marty says,
Laid out Biff in one punch! I didn't know he had it in him, he's never stood up to Biff in his life!
And there's this really weird moment where Doc looks up and says,
Ever!
And there's a pause and Marty says,
Oh, why? What's the matter?
And Doc ignores him. You guys, I could never figure this part out. Did Doc know of another time when George punched Biff? Well, I guess I was the slow one, because what Doc's doing here is spelled out completely. He's worried about the timeline being changed but decides not to say anything. In Booktopia, of course, the characters say everything they can, and Marty starts by saying he thinks his dad might even go to college now.
Doc, then that's something else you'll be able to worry about between now and the time you get back to 1985. Marty, what? Doc, well, if he does go to college, thanks to you, it'll change his life. Marty, for the better, I hope. Doc, maybe. But suppose while he's there, he meets some co-ed who's more attractive to him than your mother? That could cause you to do a quick fade out. Or suppose because of college expenses, your mom and dad decide to hold off having kids for a couple years. If that happens, you may find that you're 12 or 14 years old in 1985 instead of 17. How do you like them apples?
And ha ha ha, amazing. Doc ending that speech with how do you like them apples is amazing. I love it. What I don't love is how crazy that paragraph is. Craziness number one, what Doc's saying makes sense. College is a big life change, And many high school relationships don't survive it. However, the quick fade-out thing is weird and only fits with my variable speed meta-time theory if Doc's wrong about how quick it would be. But on the other hand, it's only in the book and Doc is a crappy Doc here. Either way, it's a weird thing to introduce in the middle of a let's travel through time really dangerously climax. I guess it's the so we can think oh no, even if this works Marty might still be pooched, but I really feel like that robs tension rather than heightening it. Marty's no longer driving through time to save his life as he knows it, he's just driving through time to maybe do that. It seems wimpier, somehow. Craziness number 2, oh my gosh, Doc, sex doesn't work that way. If I delay having kids by a few years, the child that is born is a different kid. Totally different egg, totally different sperm. It's not like every couple has a few kids waiting inside them all queued up in an orderly line ready to pop out. They would have to conceive each kid at the exact same time in the exact same way or Marty as we know him won't ever be born. Heck, the birth of anyone is so hugely statistically improbable compared to all the alternate children that could have been born that to draw attention to how unlikely it is seems like a super bad idea. It's unlikely that Marty and his siblings even exist as we know it back in 1985 with that in mind. Craziness 3, ha ha ha, how do you like them apples? I still love it. So we learned that Doc, or perhaps Gipe, has no idea how conception works. Doc's just finished telling Marty that when he gets back to 1985 he could well be 12 years old.
Marty shook his head in awe. What his friend and mentor said definitely made sense.
This is amazing. It's like Gipe realized you will be 5 years younger when you arrive back in 1985. Inch's explanation is sucky, so he again has his characters suddenly get obsessed about how much they agree with him. It's amazing. I love it. And yes, I'm saying this writing is so bad it's good. We have looped around, everybody. It finally happened. Anyway, Marty starts telling Doc that George cold-cooked Biff and how crazy it was, and Doc totally doesn't care about anything this teen has to say, which is hilarious.
Fine, Doc Brown nodded. Now get in there and set your destination time. We rushed as hell.
Doc pounds in the exact time Marty left 1985 to the nearest minute and explains that he's done the calculations and painted a white line on the road, and as long as Marty floors it when the alarm clock goes off, he'll be fine. In the movie there's that really sweet scene where these two friends thank each other and then they hug and say, "In about 30 years!" And oh my gosh you guys, it's such a good hug. In the book, they just shake hands. That's all they do. Doc says,
"It's been a pleasure," and then the two men shook hands.
And that's it, all business. Come on Gipe, I want to see friends hug, damn it.